The Ladder of Life by Martin Faulks. Many years ago, hidden in the mists of time, there was a tale of a true seeker after knowledge. He, possessed with a burning desire to know truth, had travelled an arduous journey across sea and land. And after many weeks of travel and many days of waiting, praying, and supplicating, had finally received an audience with the prophetess herself, the Pythia of the oracle at Delphi. It was said that this woman, through her training, natural ability, and divine right, could channel the divine and answer any question put to her. So respected was she as a source of pure knowledge that kings, philosophers, and great heroes would seek her out and consult her in the highest of matters. And now our own hero, dishevelled and dirty from his travels, bearded and unshaved, finally was led deep underground into the cavern in which she resided. As his eyes adjusted to the dark, he could see her dressed in the white vestments of a maiden, sitting on her tripod. It was said that the vent beneath the tripod released a form of natural gas which allowed her to leave her own consciousness behind and to become at one with the divine consciousness itself. Step forth and speak your question plainly. Our hero was filled with a sense of fear and reverence, but his longing and his desire to know helped him overcome it, and he took a single step forwards. Prophetess, I prefer not to say my name, as I am concerned that others may believe me to be disrespectful to the gods and the ordinances of the realm, the nature of my question being easily misunderstood. You will state your name clearly, one of the assistants protecting the prophetess insisted. Our figure stumbled. Many figures in the past who have explored ideas contrary to religion or to the gods, the teachings of the gods, have found themselves. The prophetess took a deep breath in. And her right arm started to shake. Her presence became so strong that everyone was silent. Akron I know your name. And be assured that the Pythia believes your intentions to be holy, and that her words are that you may explore your question without fear of reprisal or persecution. Shocked that the Pythia herself knew his name, but reassured that her words would protect her client no matter what happened, Akron decided to ask his question, and filled with great excitement, the excitement that someone who has spent years in contemplation of one unanswerable question could only conceive of. His words raced and tripped over each other. I want to ascend, I want to evolve, but I don't know how. The mysteries, the teachings of the spiritual schools, the paths most magical, they seem foreign and confusing to me. And if you look at what they teach you, what the greatest philosophers and religious leaders tell you, and what they do, they seem contradictory to each other. If we are all seeds of divine, if we are all gods in the making, if indeed divinity has sent us as sparks of a true good to come down here and to evolve, to ascend to Olympus, to unfold the beauties of true godliness on ourselves, then why would we need incantations? Why would we need spells or rituals or trances? How can we join a society with titles that charges money and requires obedience when our birthright itself is for us to be a divine being? Silence went through the cavern. The assistants shuffled uncomfortably. Carry on. The Pythia responded in a reassuring tone. Well, we have said that our body is formed as the perfect vessel for our life. And we are sent here. We are sent here to learn from the nature of life. But yet, the things of the body we are told to reject. My body calls out for me to be with a child, to have a son or a daughter, and to care for them. This is the most natural of human things. But yet, there are many schools of spirituality that teach us to be celibate. Likewise, the city that I live in, a city which is said to be founded by the gods, a society guided by the gods, requires thy work. But yet, the practices, the meditations, and the contemplations of spiritual paths are too much for me to be able to fit in my life. How can it be that I need to choose between the life of a man or the dedication to the gods? Surely these must be one and the same. Furthermore, I find it confusing. Many of these mysteries and schools seek otherworldly experience. They wish to go into the underworld or the afterlife before natural time. Likewise, the heroes of myths ascend to Olympus by the most bloody and violent of acts. How can it be that the gods praise peace, but then reward violence? How can it be that if we are sent here to ascend, if life is our lesson, that we are not rejecting divine gifts if we seek to escape it or travel to other places? There must be a reason for this. Is it not sacrilege to reject the lessons of life? Do we not naturally know how to ascend? To become at one with the world, to become at one with all things, how could this be achieved by rejecting worldly things? Is our divine mission not in the natural life of a human? And if so, how can I unlock this, the lessons of the life of a human, to ascend, to find my full potential? It feels to me that religious people talk of goodness all the time, but they don't do anything really to help others, but only think of it, talk of it. And they do not engage in the most simplest of kindness, which is involved in the duties and work of everyday life. They tell us to become aware as a god, but their followers appear to be of a trance and focused on forms of dreams and sleep. I want to know how the inherent growth, the growth of divinity that's within me, how this can unfold naturally. Have you seen this growth within? Inquired the Pythia. Yes, I have. I have children, and when they are born, they learn from everything. Their awareness naturally grows. It is like they are the very sparks of pure potential, like they know the mission, and that life is the greatest of teachers to them. But somehow this stops. The evolving, the growing of awareness, the learning from every day to the next. If this didn't stop, or I could find a way to restart this again in myself, I know that naturally I could reach my goal. A silence once again descended upon the room. Wishing to break the silence and the discomfort it was causing, an assistant spoke up. Speak your question plainly, lest you test the Pythia's presence. What is your question? My question is, how can I evolve fully and reach my divine nature through life itself, rather than through artificial means? The Pythia. Breathed in deeply. She closed her eyes, and then a movement, an indescribable movement, came across her, as if her body itself was a string of a lute being played. Her eyes reopened, this time with a different gaze. You wish to walk the ladder of life, to be a hero through the lessons that are natural and all around you. To allow you to unfold the divinity that you've seen in your own children I present you 7 great trials. These 7 trials will use the most mundane to ascend to the highest in the divine. Indeed, it is true that all things are formed of thought, of consciousness, and thus there are no higher or lower mysteries. She leant forwards and looked directly into his eyes. Use these practices to clear your inner self. Make yourself a vessel for the blessings that shine down from the planets above. In this way, you will ascend to your highest potential, walking the route that you requested. Each vow must be practiced for a period of a century of days. The assistant muttered directly to Akron, 100 days. So that these lessons become firmly imprinted within your heart and become your true nature. Your first vow is that of the moon. You must make your inner nature shine forth through what you wear. A sense of shocked silence went through the room. Make your true nature shine forth in what you wear. Dress so as to reflect who you truly are. Be fastidious to the highest detail in this quest. If you represent beauty, make sure you're beautiful. If you represent good, let that goodness be seen on your clothing, on your jewelry, on your countenance. If you are an organized person, show that organization. Show your attention to detail, your fastidiousness, your strength in what you wear. Lacking discipline, Akron spoke out. You speak as a woman. I should ascend by adjusting my clothing. My body is of a woman, but these words are divine. You must join the inner and outer. You must make everything one. If you don a uniform that represents a certain role, you must fully embody that role, or do not take on the clothing. Make sure that you give this quest the greatest of attention. By doing so, you will find many gifts of the imagination, many gifts of vibration and harmony become yours. Indeed, the truth of this purification can only be experienced. What is my next great trial? Your next sacred oath is that of Mercury. And this is that only words of truth must ever be uttered by you. Make your words reflect your best knowledge, and never speak of anything as if it's a fact, which is just conjecture. By purifying your words, you will purify your mind. Your intentions will become clear, and you will learn to love knowledge, to study the truth, and to know the truth in its highest form. By making this your mental property, you will learn the ring of truth in the words of others. You must make eloquence and tact your greatest allies, and use them in the place of lying or exaggeration. If in doubt, of course, remain silent. This is a great and noble test, and by practicing this discipline, you will find much more about yourself. You will harmonize inner conflicts, rid yourself of confusion, and become in harmony with all things. I feel the honesty in what you say. I understand how this rung of the ladder is connected with the last. I'm excited to hear the next step and how this naturally builds. Please carry on. Your next vow is that of Venus. To learn the lessons and open yourself up to the blessings of this influence, you must learn to celebrate fully. Life offers you a great training ground for this. You are to embrace the life-marking events and celebrations that happen all the time. Make sure that when somebody that you care about marks an important event, you do so fully, skillfully, and with love. Make the gifts that you give someone on the day of their birth be true blessings that genuinely represent how much you care about them. Make the words you write to them genuinely and honestly express your feelings. Open your heart so that when an anniversary of a special event, an event you wish to support, comes around, you are the greatest of its allies. Be it a wedding from two people you wish the best to, or be it a time to reflect on someone who has gone. Fully embrace the moment. Visit a place that reminds you of the person who has passed away, or the marker of their burial. If you find yourself drawn to religious events, express fully the celebration on the subject that it marks. And through celebration of these important festivals and markers of life, you will start to amplify in yourself and for those around you the things that you support. This will lead naturally to your celebrating the things that you value and want to see more of in the world. And through this celebration, you will learn to direct your love to what you need to love and to who you should love. And through this love, the greatest of blessings will start to be attracted to you on all levels. Your next vow is that of the sun. You must make sure that for the whole period of your vow, you make food your medicine and medicine your food. I am to advance myself through the choice of what I eat. Seeing the interruption, one of the assistants found themselves moved by the disrespect. Akron, you bemoan the mysteries and their lofty, faraway visions of advancement, and then you show disrespect when the simple, everyday life is presented to you as a form of teaching. Control yourself. The Pythia continued, unmoved. By controlling everything that becomes at one with you, by making sure that only pure goodness, only things that represent who you want to be and what you want to be, you will transform yourself. As your physical form changes, so too will the rest of you. Have nothing to excess. And make sure that the food that you eat brings balance. Content yourself with simplicity. Do not eat anything that was not prepared in kindness, and focus fully when you eat. Use this as a time to let go of all excess of the body and excess of the mind, and to cultivate and generate health within your whole form. Soon you will find that the healthy habits of the diet become healthy habits in viewpoint and harmonious healing in life. What is my next vow? I now see how the different vows fit together, and I apologise for my interruption and disrespect. Your next vow is that of the planet Mars. And this vow will build upon all the rest that have come before it. Your vow is to fully focus on each and every undertaking in your life. You must make sure that everything you do is done with full dedication, whether it be a great task or a trivial one. Really use all your abilities and seek to excel in everything you do. So when you sleep, really sleep, make sure you fully rest and that you cut off from any mixed intentions. When you make love, fill yourself full of the love you wish to express with your body, and let this be a lesson to your heart. In your work, be fastidious in your undertakings and seek to improve and excel, and let this improvement bring great blessings to you and those that your work benefits. Learn to be in every moment, and through this value every moment. And through this all skills will come to you. For when you write, the letters you form will improve. When a task requires memory, your memory will evolve. And when intuition is needed, you will fully consult with that intuition, and this will allow you to become at one with those powers. By cultivating logic, memory, intuition and awareness through everyday tasks, by improving your coordination, by making every word an exercise in eloquence, by learning to pray with your whole being, the greatest mysteries will unfold. Indeed, this vow will make every moment of life the blessing which you know it was destined to be, and return you to the state you saw in the children around you. And now, my sincere inquirer, your next vow is that of the great Jupiter. And this vow requires that you learn to place and to rule over all the objects within your care with a sense of usefulness and beauty. You must make sure that everything which you own is arranged with perfect order, with great beauty, and in the best possible position. Remember, thoughts and objects are one. So rule over your object as a God of pure goodness would. Never place anything in the incorrect place, but rather use it with harmony. Value it, and let this value shine forth. Create your conception of heaven in the small universe which is your own. Through this great and mighty vow, you will find many changes within yourself, and that as you transform your environment, you are transforming yourself. Clutter in your dwelling is clutter in your mind. Memories in the forms of objects, when sorted and dealt with, have become allies and powers within the self. When you reach this point in your journey, the inner and outer worlds really can be seen as one. And my final trial your final trial is that of the great and awe-inspiring Saturn. I fear to hear what Saturn would require of me. Saturn requires nothing of you. Your final vow is to sit alone, in silence, in darkness. Every day make sure that the whole cycle of an hour is spent. What should I do in this darkness? All your life you have looked to the light. Sit in the darkness. Allow everything to be clear. Look to the darkness. As incubation, life is indeed the best preparation for death, and in the quiet of the darkness you will meet yourself, and your own mysteries will appear. Be in the darkness, be one with the darkness, and your own divinity will reveal itself. With this, the Pythia once again closed her eyes, and she lifted her hands to put them to cover her face. The assistants immediately saw this as a sign that the divine inspiration had left her. They took the opportunity to take Akron from this place and to leave her to have time to rest. As he was walked along the subterranean routes back out, in a state of raised awareness and great joy, he shouted back, Thank you for all your words. I think I realise the lessons have been in front of me all along. I think I understand the test you have placed before me. The assistants said nothing until they reached the light. Then they did something of great interest. The assistant on the right took from his side a piece of material and with some string tied around it created a form of sack. He took from outside the cave 10 small stones and counted them into the sack. This is how an athlete for the Olympic Games, which you are aware take place in the honour of the god Apollo, accounts his training. A stone for each circuit performed. He counted another 10. I believe it was 100 days the great prophetess told you each vow should be performed for. Yes, that's true. He continued to count stones until 100 of them contained the sack. if you are to truly walk the ladder of life which the Divine Lady is presented towards you, I recommend you use the same counting method. For each day you manage to keep to a vow, take a stone from this sack. When the sack is empty, you have fulfilled your duty and can move on to the next test. But what do I do if I'm unable to keep to a vow? If I, through weakness or through forgetfulness, find it hard, then you must return all the stones to the sack and start again, my friend. This is the way you can know you are assured of success. Akron took the sack of tiny white stones as the most simple but beautiful of marker of his vows. As he looked out across the beautiful landscape of Delphi, looking at the various temples of the gods and the planets they relate to, he realized in that moment each one of these practices used the disciplines that already exist in the day-to-day life which he occupied. But through the purification and challenge that they placed, they would transform him. And day by day, he would become more in vibration, in sync with the higher forces, the virtues associated with each of the planets. Naturally, these planets within him would be evolving. A quest which he could now see had always been with him, hidden in the 7 days of the week, and in each moment of those days. He thought of the Pythia and the way it felt to be in her presence. And as he took his first step, he knew that one day he would feel that divine blessing once again from within.